Stocks on Wall Street end mixed. The Dow closes at a record high, gaining nearly 600 points as the government shutdown nears its end. The Nasdaq recovers from the day's low but ends below the flat line as investors rotate out of tech stocks. The Asian markets are mostly higher. The GIFT Nifty is indicating a gap up start for our own markets. In key results, Tata Steel is likely to see a near 4% rise in revenues from a year ago as it reports numbers today, while a weak quarter is expected from Asian Paints due to heavy monsoons and increased sales costs. The Tata Trusts has named Neville Tata and Bhaskar Bhatt as the new trustees, inducted to the board of trustees of the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust for a 3-year period. The trust also revises Venu Srinivasan's term from lifetime to 3 years to comply with the Maharashtra government ordinance. The Union government has invoked an anti-terror law after a car blast near Delhi's Red Fort metro station killed at least 12 people. The Home Ministry transfers the probe to the NIA, India's principal counter-terror agency. Sources say that the suspects may have acted out of panic and desperation due to the raids carried out by the security agencies, and the bomb was premature and not fully developed, thereby limiting the impact. And a record voter turnout in Bihar as 122 seats across 20 districts went to polls in the final phase of the assembly elections. The News 18 exit poll gives the NDA the edge. The votes will be counted on Friday. Good morning. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18 in the Mumbai News Centre. I am Hormis Fatakia. Let's first take a look at how the Asian markets are faring, and it's a fairly decent start, if you could call it that. It's a mixed picture compared to what the earlier projections were. The Hang Seng currently trading 0.6% higher. The Taiwanese index trading with gains. The Kospi is now up almost 71% on a year-to-date basis. That's the South Korean index, and that is turning out to be the best year that this index has had since 1999. So the best performing index in the Asia Pacific, the Kospi of South Korea. The Nikkei, well, trading above the flat line, 0.25% higher. The Shanghai Composite is the only index among the Asian pack that is trading currently below the flat line. So as of now, it's a largely positive start for our own markets. And pull up the GIFT Nifty. That'll give you an idea of how our own markets are likely to start off. Well, a gap up, 165 points gap up, and of course we have reasons of our own, which I'll tell you in just a bit. And to set you up for today's trade, our research team is here with the trade setup, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and of course the setup on the F&O side of things as well. And as I was mentioning, the GIFT Nifty currently indicating a gap up start for our own markets, and we have our reasons for that. Of course, first one being the exit polls from Bihar pointing to the NDA, most of the exit polls pointing to the NDA having the edge in the assembly polls. So policy continuity there is what is giving the GIFT Nifty a boost. And of course, the big news that came in yesterday, that the hopes of a trade deal between India and the US have now risen, and as a result of which this optimism that came in the second half of the trading session yesterday and carrying on in today's session as well, there are hopes that the trade deal will be done sooner or later. The Nifty is up almost 200 points in the last 2 sessions, and it is likely to extend those gains now for the third day running. At this point, the important level to watch out for is, of course, firstly being Tuesday's high, which is 25,712. That's the first level to watch, and then move, of course, towards that 25,750, 25,850 congestion zone that you need to watch out for. On the downside, it's getting firmly established that 25,450, 25,500 zone is emerging to be a very important support that needs to be watched out for. On the downside, of course, that resistance number needs to be changed. Of course, that's 25,850, not 27. But on the downside, as I was mentioning, 25,450, 25,500, that range is turning out to be a support, as evident from the intraday lows of the last 2 sessions, which was 25,450 and yesterday was 25,500. So you need to keep an eye out on all of those levels. The Nifty Bank needs to be watched out for, because that again closed above the mark of 58,000 yesterday. So it's around about 400, 450 points away from its own record highs. So that needs to be kept into account as well. Important triggers to watch today: the commercial vehicles business of Tata Motors is listing. Grow, India's biggest broker, that's going to be listing today. So important listings to watch out for. Earnings from Tata Steel, Asian Paints, a lot of earnings reactions as well. So it's an action-packed session that is lined up in store. Over to Vinny Vinny now, who is going to list out the stocks that you need to watch out for today. Vinny, good morning. What's on your list?
Hi, good morning. So firstly, I'll start with some of the earnings that were reported. Tata Power, weak set of numbers or muted set of numbers this time in Q2 FY26. What is impacting the numbers? Mundra shutdown as well as muted power demand. So that is why the revenues were down by around 1%. Profits declined by around 0.7%, and margins also have seen a contraction, 21.2% versus 23.9%. This operational weakness, obviously that is something that we saw coming in, but there was a strong Odisha discom performance as well as solar module performance. So you shouldn't forget that part, but a muted set this time. Also, the company has proposed to buy 40% stake in its special purpose vehicle for 1,572 crores. PI Industries, that's the next one. Weak set of numbers coming in here as well. Revenues down by around 16%, profits down by 19% as well. Domestic revenue seen a decline of 13% on a year-on-year basis, and volumes on the domestic side also have seen a decline of 9%. Margins a bit muted on a year-on-year basis. IOL Chemicals, on the other hand, they've managed to see a steady quarter, revenue growth of 8%. We're seeing profit growth of around 56%, and margins have seen an improvement of around 200 basis points. More than that, 10% is what the EBITDA margins have come in at. Torrent Power, a strong set of numbers reported by the company with a growth of around 10% in terms of revenues. Margins seeing a good improvement as well on a year-on-year basis. High contribution from merchant power sales and gas-based power plants is something that led to the performance for Torrent Power. BSC, a slight margin contraction that one has seen coming in. Growth was mainly led by the surge in service corporates on a sequential basis and rise in other operating income on a sequential basis of 33%. So overall revenue growth on a year-on-year basis we would look at was good, 44% revenue growth, and profits is 61% growth there. ESAF Small Finance Bank, what we're seeing is the asset quality seems to have deteriorated a bit. The gross non-performing assets are coming in at around 8.54% versus 7.48% quarter-on-quarter basis. Even as asset quality has seen a bit of a deterioration, and losses, though, have seen a bit of a reduction on a year-on-year basis. Thermax, a weak set of numbers coming in from the company, miss on all fronts. Execution challenges, that is something that is still persisting for the company. Bikaji managed to perform good in Q2 FY26, 16% growth. Margins have seen an improvement as well. Translate Lighting, good performance, strong performance coming in from the company. Execution is doing well, order inflow steady, and continued execution and transmission and distribution division is something that is leading to the good revenue growth, but expenses of subcontracting are higher. So overall, a bit of an impact in terms of margins as well as the profitability of the company.
Boy, it's a long list. Vinny, thank you for that update. And lastly, Sudarshan joins in with cues from the F&O space. Sudarshan, good morning. Is the F&O data suggesting 26,000 to be in sight?
At least as of now, it's suggesting that market is set to move higher for third straight day. If not today, in next 2 or 3 days, in all probability, we might hit 26,000 again. So yesterday, what a day it was. So for the last 2 days, the market has played out as per the cues that we had got the indication from. And now the range for Nifty has moved higher. It's between 25,600 to 26,000. If you talk about yesterday's session, so part of the gains can be attributed to the weekly expiry. And second, there was an expectation of the exit poll, and there was an expectation that NDA is likely to win this time as well. And that's the reason market had seen a sharp recovery. Now, what's happening on the flows front? I can see that FIs remain on the sell side, but sell quantum has come down drastically. So yesterday in the cash market, we have seen FI sell of just rupees 800 crore. And while DIs remain on the buy side, yesterday also they have bought more than rupees 2,180 crore. In the index futures, sell figure was just rupees 612 crore, and the addition on the short side was around 2,700 contracts. Now look at the option side. One call option which was the most active was 26,000. It saw addition of 31 lakh shares, and premium 2 has increased to 59 from the level of 43, and 25,600 put premium has seen it has gone down from the level of 131. It has slipped to 86. Support 25,600. First resistance 25,800. Next resistance comes around 25,950. For Nifty Bank, support 57,750. Resistance would be 58,600. One stock is in the band, that is sale, and apart from that, Lotus has seen fresh shorts over the last 2 days, so keep an eye on that, and Persistent and Muthoot have been seeing fresh longs.
Sudarshan, thank you for that update. The other big trigger this evening is going to be India's October inflation, and a CNBC TV18 poll is suggesting that the CPI print will come in at around 0.25%, which is the lowest since at least 2012, and declining from the 1.5% that it reported in the previous month, and also significantly lower than the 6.2% reported in the same month last year. Now, the CNBC TV18 poll expects food inflation to decline for the fifth straight month and come in at a negative 4.1% for the month of October. Economists believe that the lower CPI print is likely to pave the way for another interest rate cut by the Reserve Bank of India in its upcoming monetary policy meeting. I take a short break, get you all the action from Wall Street on the other side. Welcome back. On to action from Wall Street. It was a mixed session, but the Dow Jones ended at a record high in yesterday's trade. The Nasdaq recovered from the lows, but also ended below the flat line, and there was some profit booking seen in a lot of these tech names. Now, a new report from ADP revealed that for the 4 weeks that ended on the 25th of October, private sector job creation in the US was down more than 11,000 on average per week. CNBC's Steve Leisman brings us the details on this one.
4-week moving average of private sector job creation in the ADP preliminary report down 11,000 on average over the 4 weeks. So that would equate to a month-on-month change of minus almost 45,000. And just to explain, first of all, in the middle of the shutdown, we're trying to bring viewers every single bit of alternative data we have. ADP is something we follow closely. They've begun putting out 3 times a month a lagging by 2 weeks. So this is for the week ending October 25th. Index of average weekly job growth over the 4-week period. That is down by 11,000. And somewhat in contrast to the month-on-month that we got last week, which was plus 42,000. So it does suggest some weakening as the month of October went on compared to what they had from September to October. Remember, this is a weekly index that comes out 3 times a month. And it's just really looking for what is the right level of job growth here. Separately, guys, the NFIB came out with their small business optimism index. It fell 0.6 to 98.2, still above the long-run average, but the lowest since April. Plans to increase hiring fell by 1 point to 15%. Plans to invest, that's up pretty good. I wonder if small businesses figuring out they have this new expensing up, that was up 2 points. But here's the interesting move here. Trouble with labor quality up by 9 points. We've never seen anything like that. That's 27%. It's the highest since the pandemic. Unfilled job openings were unchanged, the lowest since the pandemic. So we have this very funny dynamic down here where they're not really hiring, but they can't find the people they want. Oliver Allen at Pantheon says the numbers bear watching and could indicate trouble at some businesses finding workers due to the new immigration and deportation policies, even while the other parts of the job market remain okay. Overall, guys, the data consistent with low fire, low hire economy that we're finding in all this alternative data now.
Now, the National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett expects a lower economic growth this quarter due to the government shutdown, but expects a recovery by early 2026. Listen in.
Over the last couple of quarters, because of the success of President Trump's policies, we've had about almost 4% growth. And we were carrying that momentum into this quarter. But then because of the shutdown, I think that the estimates from CEA and Goldman are that it's going to knock maybe 1 to 1.5% off of that trajectory. So we're looking for lower growth in the quarter. The question is, when does it all come back? And I think that some of the stuff is lost forever and some of it isn't. But I would guess by the first quarter of next year, we'll be back at the 3 or 4% growth pace.
Take a short break. Cues from the commodities market on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, the Tata Trusts have named Neville Tata and Bhaskar Bhatt as the new trustees, inducted to the board of trustees of the Sir Dorabji Tata Trusts for a period of 3 years. Venu Srinivasan has also been appointed as trustee and vice chairman for a 3-year period. Parikshit is now joining in with more details on this. Parikshit.
Very important developments at Tata Trusts. Neville Tata, the son of Noel Tata, has been inducted into the principal trust under Tata Trust, the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust, which owns a 28% stake in Tata Sons. Neville, who is 32 years of age, is now going to be the youngest trustee of Tata Trust. Now, his induction and inclusion into Tata Trust comes 11 months after his father, Noel Tata, became chairman of Tata Trust. He's also the business head of the grocery business of Trent. We've also seen the induction of Bhaskar Bhatt, who is a long-term Tata Group veteran. He has also been inducted into Tata Trust in the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. What has changed for Venu Srinivasan is that on October 24, he was reappointed as permanent trustee for life. But then you had this new law, this new amendment to the Maharashtra Public Trust Act, which had been approved by the Maharashtra government on the 1st of September, which put a cap on the tenure and reappointment of permanent trustees. The new law said that the number of permanent trustees will have to be 1/4 of the total board strength. As a result of this new law, Venu Srinivasan could not have been reappointed for life, could not be a permanent trustee, because currently the board strength is only 7. That's why Venu Srinivasan's term has been revised from life to 3 years. He's also going to be the vice chairman of the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. So these changes will have long-term implications for the Tata Group. Let's see how things pan out in the months to come.
Parikshit, thank you for that important update. And Manisha Gupta now joins in with all the updates on the commodity space. Manisha, good morning. What's on your radar today?
Thank you for that, Hormuz. Well, I'm continuing to look at the precious metal prices because it's a third straight day for gains coming into the markets here. And the gold and silver prices, with the recent rally, are trading at a 3-week high, is not too far away from its all-time highs yet. Well, the expectation of a Fed rate cut in December, and while, of course, the U.S. Senate has passed the bill to reopen the government, it yet is to be cleared by the House of Representatives and the President, and that is something that the street is looking at. But strong gains coming back in case of gold and silver right now. What also continues to do well is the aluminum prices, trading very close to those 3-year highs. Remember, we have been talking about production concerns coming in, not just from China, but Iceland, Australia, and also Alcoa, and that seems to be supporting prices on where they are.
Manisha, thank you for that update. Now, the Home Ministry has transferred the Red Fort car blast case to the NIA, India's principal counter-terrorism law enforcement agency. At least 12 people were killed and several injured after a powerful car explosion ripped through Delhi's Red Fort area on Monday. CNBC TV 18 learns from sources that the raids by security agencies across multiple locations in the Delhi NCR and Pulwama recovering significant amount of explosives. Now, it is understood that the suspects may have acted out of panic and desperation due to the raids carried out by the security agencies. Sources say that the bomb was premature and not fully developed, and therefore limiting the impact, and the explosion did not create a crater, and no shrapnel or projectiles were found. Now, Bihar has seen a record voter turnout as 122 seats across 20 districts went to polls in the final phase of the state assembly elections. CNN News 18's Arun Danta has the data from the News 18's exit polls and filed this report last evening.
So second phase polling in Bihar assembly elections is over with 68.58%. That's the last update which we got from the election commission side. Of course, this is not final. We'll be waiting for the final update, but it's going to somewhere around this. It means that the elections are over in 2025 for Bihar assembly. Even in the first phase, remember, almost 66% was the voting percentage, which was also high. And in total, if we see the total voting percentage in 2025 assembly elections, it is going to be around 67 and 68%, which is 10% hike in compared to 2020 assembly elections. So which way results are going to go, we'll get to know on 14th But when elections are over, it's time for the exit poll. So first up, we'll have Network 18's exit poll, which is giving majority to NDA with 140 to 150 seats. And in our exit poll, Mahagathbandhan is getting somewhere between 85 to 95 seats, and Jan Suraj Party, the debutant, is getting 0 to 5 seats. So this is what the Network 18's larger exit poll says.
Arun, thank you for that update. We take your leave on this edition of Power Breakfast from me and the team. Thank you so much for watching. Bazaar Morning Call sets you up for today's midweek trading session.